Good afternoon, Lake Orion. It's Thursday at 3 p.m., and you know what that means. Time for the Yellow Cares podcast, brought to you live by Orion Neighborhood Television. I'm Ian Locke, coming to you from my broadcast bunker here in Lake Orion. Spread the word, the podcast is live Thursdays at 3 p.m. on Facebook. Be sure to follow us on Orion Neighborhood Television. Get that Facebook like going there for ONTV and get all the programming notices and the current COVID-19 news updates. Hello Cares podcast is also replayed on Orion Neighborhood Television throughout the week on Comcast Channel 10 and 20 and AT&T Uverse Channel 99. Some cool news, we're also on Roku. Been up for several months now, and be sure to add the Cablecast channel to your channel's lineup. And live stream ONTV programming, video on demand, is also available through Roku. All programming is in beautiful HD. Expect nothing but the best, right, from ONTV. As always, you can watch all of ONTV's programming at orionontv.org. Have it all there and pop it up here. Here's a shot of our news blog we have, updated daily with COVID-19 news reports, pressers, all that good stuff. Information about around the state, official communications from Lansing, and so on. So be sure to take a peek at that if you get a chance. If you're a fan of our podcast, or podcasts in general, and you are part of Spotify Nation, if you go onto that service, ONTV's podcasts are now on Spotify. So just search Orion on TV to get a complete list of all of our podcasts. They'll pop up, and you can sample, including this one. So if you missed past episodes of Lake Orion Cares, it's all there. We have a wide variety of shows: NASCAR, wrestling, spiritual guidance, sports talk, plus much more. Again, to reach out to ONTV and the Lake Orion Cares podcast, email us at ontv@orionontv.org. Make sure you put the LO Cares in the email heading so we know that it's specific to this program. You can also call us at 248-393-1060 with some good news. We're always looking for good news, happy news, good things going on here in Lake Orion during this time of, the lockdown and a little bit of isolation. We do have a full show for you today. We're kind of stretching out a little bit. Today we have not one, but two guests that will be chatting with us today. Bhatti from Orion Township will be in to talk about the 2020 census and the impact it'll have on our community if residents decide not to take part. We'll also be chatting with NOCC Executive Director Tanya Hamilton. We'll be sharing the NOCC's current services available to all residents related to mental health and substance abuse. And she'll also be sharing with us some new student initiatives, which I'm so excited to hear about. And plus, Joe Johnson out and about in the field again today. Beautiful day for it. The last time he was out and about, he got rained on pretty heavily. Seemed to get stuck up in some crazy weather, but today it's beautiful. And he will be down in the village live reporting, I believe in front of Cookies and Cream, to show off their life-size Candyland game that they put together to help customers social distance while they wait for their tasty treats. We'll check in with Joe around 3:35, about 3:40, around there. And you don't want to miss any of those conversations. So always trying to branch out on the LO Cares podcast, and we appreciate all the views. They are increasing week after week, so we appreciate everybody tuning in and giving us a go. A little bit of weather for the remainder of the week. How about that? Friday, mostly cloudy, high of 40 and a low of 26. Yikes. 10% chance of rain or snow. A hard freeze is expected, so take precautions with your outdoor plants to prevent damage. Watch out for that. Saturday, mostly cloudy, 10% chance of showers or snow with a high of 45 and a low of 30. Wind picks up west-northwest about 19 miles an hour, so batten down the hatches. Again, watch out for those plants as the temperatures will dip down below freezing. Sunday looks like the warmest of our weekend days. Mostly cloudy once again, high of 50, low of 32. Wind dies down, but again, watch out for the freeze threat and take appropriate precautions with your plants. We're currently sitting at partly cloudy and with some sun. Beautiful day outside. Pleasant 58 degrees. Tonight's low around 33. And now for our headlines. All right, some news this week. Governor Whitmer has released a new executive order 2020-76 extending and building upon some earlier executive orders, expanding the eligibility of unemployment benefits during the continuing COVID-19 pandemic. The executive order expedites benefits for tens of thousands of Michiganders who have filed for unemployment benefits by allowing the state to renew only an individual's most recent job separation, which is the cause of the current unemployment. So to determine the individual's benefit entitlement. So a quote from her says, "Nobody should have to worry about how to put food on the table or pay their bills, especially during a crisis. Michiganders everywhere have lost work because of COVID-19, and we must ensure they receive the benefits they are entitled to as quickly and as efficiently as possible," said the governor. So hopefully it'll cut some red tape for those who are unemployed to get in the system much quicker and get those benefits coming your way to help pay your bills. So that's some good news. Some Lake Orion Community Schools news for the senior class of 2020. This came from LOHS just a couple days ago about the activity changes and cancellations because of the realities of COVID-19 and the health crisis. We have some canceled events that usually take part this time of year. Those include the senior breakfast, Mr. and Ms. Ello, the senior all-night party. The parent committee that puts the senior all-night party together will be looking at getting some information out soon about refunds. And so be on the lookout for that in the near future. T-shirts and yard signs will be distributed at the materials pickup and turn-in days, which, again, will be determined when you can go pick up those goodies. So, again, the senior breakfast, Mr. and Ms. L.O., senior night all-night party canceled. Rescheduled or hopefully a reformatting of events. We have the cap and gown materials pickup and turn in. Students will pick up materials such as graduation cap and gown, honors cords, yearbooks, and others. And you need to turn in certain items that you need to turn in. Sports uniforms, library books. Do you owe the school district any money? Fines and such. That has to be turned in. And other materials on a date in early June to be determined. So that's still in the works. Please watch for additional communications once a date and a format has been established through the Lake Orion Community Schools website or your email. Senior Academic and Honors Night and Department Awards. Those honors will be handed out, including honors cords, scholarships, department student best awards, and so on, will be absorbed into graduation commencement ceremonies as much as possible and when a plan is formulated, I guess. Seniors are required to fill out a questionnaire, so make sure you check your email to get your information in, because LOHS does need certain information from you to complete those tasks. Prom, scheduled for May 29th, will not take place as scheduled. As with our surrounding school districts, any decision made about prom will be dependent on the governor's social distancing orders and guidelines. Senior Mock Awards, the student leadership group is considering options for this event. Please look for future communications from the yellow schools. Can't see why you can't do mock awards and get those out some way. We thank the class of 2020 seniors and their families for their understanding, patience, and flexibility during these trying times. Please help us help you by keeping an eye on future communications to ensure that you have the most up-to-date information possible. Signed, Dr. Daniel Haas, Interim Principal, Lake Orion High School. So that's the news headlines for this week. Cancellations, unemployment, and some other items in there. Just things have changed as we've found out obviously the hard way. So anyway, if you'd like to send LOCare some good news, again, email us ontv@orionontv.org. We're always looking for those good news stories. What's going on around town? This is the Lake Orion Cares podcast. I'm your announcer, Ian Locke. This is week 5 again? Week 5? Can it be possibly week 5 that we've been doing the podcast? Hope everybody's watching and enjoying the information coming out. Last week we had a great interview with the director of the Township Library, Karen Knox, learned about all these new things that they're offering virtually online and the services that they still have, even though we are shut down and locked indoors. But today we have a special guest from the Township. It's Jenny Bhatti, going to talk about everybody's favorite topic, the census. Yeah, there it is. Great shirt, Orion counts. Jenny, we've worked on many projects together over the last couple years. All of them fun, all of them very creative, and we have a lot of fun with the Township and ONTV. Have a great relationship putting out these promotional pieces. I believe you guys even won one. I mean, right? You've been recognized for your writing and the development of these promotions and ONTV working together. And right now, the main one that we were working on just before all this craziness kind of hit is the census. What can you tell us about the project and what we're aiming for on the census so far?
That's right. And thanks for having me on, Ian. I really appreciate it here. One of the projects that we were working on was a series of census videos, and they're actually on your guys' YouTube channel, our YouTube channel, our social media as well. So they were a bunch of fun ways to get information out to our residents about the census. So we have one like, what is the census? One about the safety and security of it. And then another one was just reasons why people take the census. So those ones were really fun to record and just hear their genuine responses.
And the reaction to those has been strong, and the views have, people have been tuning in, they've been playing them, they've been looking at them, and it seems like so far, residents have been doing their duty and going to the census and filling it out. And I think we're in the 70% response rate. Is that correct?
So as of the beginning of this week, we were at 75.5% as a township, which is amazing right now. And especially this year with it being a little different. So people can respond by mail, by phone, and for the first time ever, online. So they can do it on their computer, even on their phone, and it takes less than 5 minutes. So we're hoping to get a huge response when this is all said and done, just because you can do it online.
Now, is it true they've extended the census closing date, correct? So don't feel like, we want people to be motivated to do this and get it done as soon as possible so it doesn't slip out of your mind. We have so many other distractions, of course, with COVID and everything going on. But the importance of filling out this census can't be understated or overstated, I should say. The importance because of the funding for our community, right?
Right, and a lot of people don't realize how much funding is actually tied to the census. So we get money for emergency services. So all of our first responders right now who are out in full force receive funding from census data. The schools, National School Lunch Program, Head Start, a lot of different programs that they offer. Roads. If you have a bumpy road, which I know we have a few of them in the township here. Yeah, funding for that is based on census data. So the more accurate our count is, the more likely we are to get funding for those projects. So it's really key that everybody fill out their census so we can get more money for vital programs in our community.
And you guys have a map that you've been sharing. It's on your website, correct, at oriontownship.org. And it shows where all the participants have been and the percentages. So I think it's a really good graphic or metric that shows, hey, maybe you get a little neighborhood competition going, right? The village and the different sections of Orion Township. Are you finding that it's steadily going up, or can we plateaued as far as participation goes?
Every day that I check it pretty much every single day, we are steadily increasing. Sometimes it's a small increase, but it's still an increase, which is great to see. So Orion Township is 36 square miles, 6 by 6, and we're broken up into 10 different census tracts. So that's kind of how we're tracking it, is those 10 different areas. So we know our lower response sections, and we're kind of focusing on putting more signs in those locations to help increase participation.
So I have on the screen the Orion Living Spring 2020 magazine, which everybody should have in their mailbox and be. It should have been delivered a while ago. The summer edition is coming out in June, I believe. So
Yes.
this. There's no excuse for you not to have this information in your home, as well as the mailer that was sent out by the government. So um, the magazine, the spring edition of the magazine, has some really good information and tips on what you need to do, the details that you shared, the history of the census, which is fantastic. And we know, like you said, some people are kind of apprehensive in filling out the census for whatever reason. And there were some changes made, I believe, to what what's the minimum you have to display or to add to the census to have it count. Some of those have metrics have changed slightly. Can you share with the listeners on that?
So as of right now, the census is just 9 questions. So just ask the basic questions. We get some people who don't want to answer all of the questions and who are concerned about giving out that much information. Um, my response to them is, if you're that concerned about that and you don't want to give out that information, at least just fill out the beginning portion and put the number of people in your household. That will help us greatly. You don't have to answer all of the additional questions if you don't want to, about your race and age, that type of thing. At least go in and enter how many people live at your address. That would help us out tremendously.
And that count is the direct count that determines funding. So, I mean, that is the key number that is needed.
That's exactly right. And people don't realize, tying it back to the funding, even the Kaboom playground over at Camp Agawam, the $500,000 playground. So a key part of filling out that application was using census data to show how many people lived in that area and did not have a park within walking distance. We had to use multiple pieces in there referring to the census in order to get that grant.
And so the census data, the information that is collected, it is used all the time. It's not just, hey, we get one lump. The federal government says, here, you get one lump because you have so many people living here. It's constantly used. It's used to get the funding in. It's to help, like you said, grants. I mean, grants are huge these days, especially if your funding situations, like we know, are going to be a little tight. Coming up with the situation with COVID-19 and the economy. So it's more important than ever to fill out that census data because that census data could, in effect, make up a portion of some of those lost funds because of the COVID situation.
Correct. Because I mean, we lost out on over $1 million as a community during our last census just because of the number of people who didn't respond. So it's a lot of money that's lost opportunity.
Left on the table, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Imagine what our community could do with that extra money. So like you said, it's not like we get it in one lump sum. It comes to all these different programs. And the data is also used to determine like staffing levels for emergency first responders. It's used to determine where to build things and businesses coming in. So there's a lot of different reasons that the census data is used.
Awesome. If you're just joining us, this is the Lake Orion Cares podcast. I'm Ian Locke, and with me is Jenny Bhatti from the Orion Township government, and she is the guru of the census around here in Orion Township. I know Chris threw that out there the other day, Chris Barnett, our supervisor, and I love the title. The mastress of the census here in Lake Orion. I know usually you have people knocking on your doors and rolling around. That's not happening. Or have you heard, is this potentially going to happen to try to get the remainder 25% to get us at I know 100% would be fantastic, but you know what I mean. Are there going to be census workers out anytime soon? Do we know?
So they every piece of their operation has been delayed. So coming to the doors, they're still planning on doing that, but they've talked about starting that in June as of right now. So that could change depending on how our situation here transforms over this next month, but they're planning on June. So if you don't want anybody coming and knocking on your door to ask you census questions, go online or make a quick phone call. It'll take you less than 10 minutes to fill it out. So
I think it took us. My wife actually timed it. We get a lot of information from you guys in the township from Facebook, right? A lot of good information there. You can't go wrong. Accurate and official information, from the township. It was important in these times. And I think it took her roughly 7.5 minutes. We actually timed it from logging in, putting your information in, clicking the right check boxes, and saying send. It was that quick. It really is that fast.
That's awesome. Supervisor Barnett actually recorded himself doing it, and we sped up the video, added a little music to it, and it took him about four minutes to do. So
Yeah.
less than 10 minutes, and you'll have a huge effect on the benefits to your community for the next 10 years.
Awesome. So that's the census. ONTV's pushing it out. We're going to be talking about. We always talk about it on the podcast every week, so we're going to continue to get the message out. But I'd like to also talk to you about some fun things that are also happening around the township on the park side. Even though the parks are kind of closed and you can't really gather in your groups and things, but the Parks Department is really still working hard to bring some great programs to the community. Can you share with us what you guys have in store virtually?
So they have a few different virtual programs right now. So if you go to their website, theorionparks.com, they have different things from Zumba classes, cooking classes, Snapology. They have an array of classes, and they are adding to those almost daily, which is amazing to see. Gives our residents an opportunity to do something and not have to leave their home to do that.
This is quite a list.
It is.
It's pretty amazing. The staff, we work with we just work across the hall from the staff in the Parks Department over at the Orion Center, and I'm looking here, like Zumba, Hatha Yoga. I think I said that right. Healthfulness and virtual meditation. We all need meditation in these times for sure.
Yeah.
Virtual 5Ks coming up, right? That's another element that I know we're helping promote. Can you share about the virtual 5K?
So the Veterans Memorial is becoming a beloved race in the community. So this is our 4th year, and due to the circumstances, we're kind of having to adjust. So we're switching to a virtual 5K. So we're encouraging people to get out on the over 70 miles of trails that we have in the township here. Or if you don't want to get outside, you can always do it on your treadmill, which might be a little more boring, but you can still do that. We're going to mail participants a t-shirt and a finisher's medal. They can upload their results online and get a certificate of completion as well. And all of the money is still benefiting the Orion's Veteran Memorial, which is absolutely an incredible memorial. They do an amazing job. It's one of the best in the country.
Absolutely. And ONTV is still working with the Veterans Memorial Group to try to bring those ceremonies, the annual ceremony to the community like we always do. It's going to look a little different. We're not really announcing official what's going to happen just yet. But the 5K helps is a fundraiser, correct, for the memorial. It is fabulous. If you've never been there, please stop by and pay your respects to those who gave the ultimate sacrifice to our community and to our country. And it is really a thing to see. And it is a gem of our here in Lake Orion. Well, I want to say thanks to Jenny Bhatti from the Orion Township Census Bureau, right? She's out there working hard. Orion counts, absolutely. Fill out those census forms. Get online. Make a call. There's no reason not to. It does nothing but good for our community, and it gets get those much-needed funds in and around Lake Orion for a decade. And it's your civic duty. Just get out there and fill it in. There's no excuse.
One last thing to add on that.
Yeah.
We have to remember that kids count, our seniors count, and our renters count, because those are the most undercounted groups out there. So every person counts.
Absolutely. On that note, thank you, Jenny. Have a good day, and I appreciate you taking the time to stop in the Yellow Cares podcast and having a chat with me. It's good to see you. It feels like it's been forever since we had a chance to sit down and chat. It's been a pleasure, and I'm sure we'll see you around on the little chat bubbles in the boxes sometime soon. All right?
All right, Ian. Thank you so much.
Okay. Have a good day. Thank you.
Bye.
All right. Fill out that census, will ya? Get online. Fill it out. It can only help the community. If you want some more information about this census, we have some videos rolling on Orion on TV YouTube channel. Just search Orion on TV at YouTube, and you can see a whole host of census videos. We got them all over Facebook. Take a peek. This is the Lake Orion Cares podcast, brought to you by Orion Neighborhood Television and the COVID-19 response team at the Township. I'm Ian Locke. Be sure to get out there. Fill that census. It can only help 10 years, and we're talking $18,000 per person lost who does not get counted here in our township. That's a lot of dough. Just a second ago, Tanya. All right. Another special guest joining us here in the Lake Orion Cares podcast is Executive Director of the North Oakland Community Coalition, the NOCC, Tanya Hamilton. Tanya, thank you for coming back on the podcast. The last time we met, we had some technical issues, but I'm glad to have you back. Thank you for taking the time to pop in and share all of the NOCC and what they do in the community. Now, just as a reminder to those who are listening, who really don't know what the NOCC does or isn't familiar with your work, share with everybody at home what you guys do.
Sure. And thanks, Ian. I appreciate the opportunity to come in and talk with you again. The NOCC is located right here in Lake Orion, Michigan. We specifically serve the community of Lake Orion, and we work with our families and particularly our youth on substance reduction and mental health initiatives.
Outstanding. Now you have, I was looking at the website, and I believe you guys have been around since 2007. If that's, I believe that's accurate information on your website. It's amazing what websites can give you these days. Makes the interviewer sound like he actually knows what he's talking about. That's not always the case, but that's why we have the experts on. But I know ONTV and the NOCC, I've been at ONTV since 2009, and we've worked with the NOCC since I came on board, and it's just a really important group to have operating in our community. Substance abuse, we know, is always something that we have to watch out for in our youth, and I guess even in our adult population as well. And you guys are out there on the front lines just trying to do your best to educate and inform and all that good stuff. So share with some of the initiatives you guys are doing in the schools or with the youth, because you guys do some amazing things.
Yeah, we do a lot with our youth. We love the students in Lake Orion, and we do a lot of education, but we also do a lot of encouragement. Choosing a life without substance use is a lot about education, but it's also a lot about just, encouraging smart choices. So we do different campaigns throughout the year with our students at Lake Orion High School. You may have heard of a few. We run around prom time and homecoming. We run a campaign called Smart Dragons Don't Drink to encourage alcohol-free celebrations. We also, every November, have a very vape-heavy campaign. We call it No Vape November. In fact, this year we had T-shirts made for every student in the school, and our tagline was No Vape November or Ever, because we don't want students vaping any month of the year. So that was a lot of fun. We always hold campaigns, try to do fun activities that also educate students, because our high schoolers are smart kids, and they say, give us the information, we want to understand. So they need to know what chemicals they're putting in their body when they might choose to vape or to drink alcohol or to smoke marijuana. But
And
we also,
oh, sorry, go ahead.
oh, no, we work also with elementary students and middle school students. We have a program we run in our elementary schools called Life Skills that we offer to every fifth grader in the district. So we see approximately 550 elementary fifth graders for 8 hours every single year. And each session with them is a different lesson. So we might talk about vaping in one, we talk about stress reduction in another, we talk about communication skills. So it's a really good program that kind of preps them for what they'll be faced with in middle school and help them develop the, characteristics that will help them be successful as they get older.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because the age range, as I'm listening to you from elementary, I mean, high school is the obvious, usually, and middle school, but elementary, wow, it's good that you're hitting them early, and knowledge is always power, as they say, and fifth graders, wow, it's a bit shocking in a way to hear that young, and but it's great that you guys are there to get that information out. Now with vaping, we know that last fall, was it 2019, there was a huge push and a fear because of some nefarious vaping products that are out in the world that kids and even adults were getting their hands on, and it was killing people and causing severe lung damage and just distress and that was the big push back in the fall. And how things have changed, do you find that with the COVID-19 and the closing of schools and everybody kind of sequestered at home, has it changed your focus at all from, like, vaping was the big push in the fall and now we're dealing with this whole nother reality?
Yeah, you know what? That's a really good point, Ian. We are not losing our focus on vaping or underage drinking or underage marijuana use. In fact, we're very concerned about the access students may have right now, being home close to maybe a parent's liquor cabinet, or just with more time on their hands, potentially with more anxiety or stress than they had before, being, vaping more than they were. At the same time, we recognize that there may be students who were vaping prior to being home during the stay-at-home order who maybe don't have as much access, and perhaps they've had to overcome the dependence that they have on nicotine. So for those students, we say, we're behind you, good for you, we're proud of you for overcoming. We're not really going to know the extent of where everyone is until we're all able to come back together again. So while you haven't seen a lot of social media posts and pushes from us regarding specific substances, it's because we're really trying to gauge where everyone is emotionally right now. And then once we're all able to come together again, we're going to find out where the needs really lie. That being said, we actually had a team meeting, and you'll be seeing more of those substance messages from us coming out now that people have been home and are in more of a routine in their homes. But no, I mean, the risks of vaping and underage drinking, they haven't gone away. Those substances are just as dangerous for people as they were before.
Okay. And you're mentioning the mental aspect, and I mean, being sequestered from human beings and inside all the time, it can take a toll. I think I just before we went on the air, we kind of had a little chat, and you're like, "What week is this? How far into this are we?" Yeah. And and your organization, my organization, and others in the township, we're out there, actively working on, trying to help others, and you kind of lose track of where we're at. But you and I can interact, others can interact and try to solve problems in the township, or at least be a resource. But others, people are just at home and worried, and students are concerned, and the high schoolers have eventually, we found out, graduation has been postponed. We don't know if there's going to be a ceremony coming, and then the juniors, the concern about the juniors in high school moving on. So you have all these different pressures on the adults and the kids, and what. How can you reach out, or how can somebody reach out to you for assistance if they feel those pressures?
Yeah, well, obviously anybody can reach out to us anytime through our website. My personal email address is posted on our website. We have social media pages that people can reach us through. Our phone number is listed. Contacting us anytime is welcome. But what we're trying to do as an organization is become more proactive than that and reach them.
Okay.
So what we're doing, we have a program called Dragon Zoom, where we're bringing students together we have a number of different activities we have held. We're actually getting ready to roll out a new monthly schedule of Dragon Zooms for the months of May and June.
Okay.
Looks like I lost you there for a second.
Oh, I'm still here. As with all technology, you never know what's going to happen. And the internet, so stable these days with everybody on it. So pick up where we left off just a second ago, Tanya.
Yeah, thank you. So I think we were talking about how the NOCC right now always welcomes people reaching out to us so that we can share our resources, the resources we have available for emotional support. But we're trying to be very proactive in reaching out to students and engaging them. We know that they're in a kind of just a really strange place right now. And, you mentioned our high school graduating seniors. Who would have guessed they'd be dealing with all of this? So we're trying to encourage them to reach out to some online programming that we have going on. One of those programs is what we're calling Dragon Zoom, where we are going to have an entire month's worth of topics of conversations online that they can log into and be a part of. And we're actually really excited because one of the first ones that will be happening in the next week or so, we have a group of teachers and staff members from Lake Orion High School who are going to be joining us for a little game, and we're going to kind of test how well do you know your teachers. So we're hoping that'll be a really good opportunity for students and staff to engage and just have some fun together. And then obviously some of the other sessions that we offer will be more structured and things about stress management or how to create a solid routine for yourself in this, COVID world that we're living in.
And I'm glad you mentioned the fun aspect, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's still okay to have fun. And
absolutely.
And there's nothing better than relieving stress than getting a laugh or something that's out of the ordinary just to get a giggle going. It's sometimes we just need a laugh or we'll end up crying, as they say, right? We need a laugh.
That's right. I say that all the time. It's laugh or cry. Which one do we want to do? We want to laugh.
Exactly. And I'll take a laugh any day. And if you're just joining us, this is the Lake Orion Cares podcast. I'm Ian Locke, and with me is Executive Director of the NOCC, Tanya Hamilton. And let me just throw out your phone number real quick, 248-520-3786. And now you mentioned working with youth, and you have a new program that you're kind of relaunching. Share that exciting news with everybody.
We do. We're really excited about it. We have a great group of students at Lake Orion High School who work with us on all of the campaigns we build for the community. But right now, especially, we're learning just how important it is for these kids to have purpose and to feel like they can help their community. So we're taking our youth organization and we are broadening it to the entire community. So the campaigns that we now run with our youth will not just be held within the walls of Lake Orion High School. We are going to gather youth who want to help engage in their local government, with law enforcement, all the different sectors of the community, and really have a youth voice for prevention and mental health in Lake Orion. And they are going to be known as the NOCC Youth Action Board.
Fantastic. And when is that going to be kicked off? Where can we expect to see some of the branding and all that good stuff coming out to the community?
We're starting it now. So
Oh.
actually, if you can find us on Twitter, on Instagram, also on Facebook, although our youth primarily communicate via
Yes.
Twitter and Instagram these days. But you can find us there, and we'll be rolling out our first project. Actually, the kids already have their first project planned for this coming week, where we're going to be engaging the entire community on some signs that we're going to develop as reminders that, you matter, and that, not only do you matter, but other people matter. Just some good mental wellness messages for the community that we can see while we're driving by intersections or walking through parks, to remember that as we're re-engaging and as we're coming back together as a community, it's going to be very important that we all look out for one another and just encourage each other to support their own mental health and that of others.
Fantastic. Now, you mentioned you have your group already. You got your first project. If somebody isn't a member of the group already, what's the best way for them to get a hold of you, or how do they get to get on board and to help take part?
Yeah, so they can call the phone number that you mentioned earlier. They can also email me at thamilton@noccmi.org. And then in the coming days, their students are going to start seeing this group. So there are going to be ways to interact via social media as well. And I'm so glad you mentioned that, because we want more people involved. So if there is anyone from Lake Orion High School who is looking for just a feel-good project, or even, this is a great way to earn some volunteer hours that you need for graduation. So many reasons why this will be a really important group to benefit our community and to benefit the growth of our students. And then the high school is also very involved too, so they'll be promoting this for us. And I would also add that if there's an adult in the community who knows of a high school student who would be a perfect fit for this kind of service group, please nominate them. We would love that too.
Fantastic. A lot of things happening at the NOCC, youth-related, adult-related. Now, you have you said there was a date change on the prescription drug take-back day. Can you share some information on that? Because that is an important program people might not be aware of.
Yeah, prescription drug take back day is actually a national event that happens twice per year, every April and every October. And it's really more of an awareness campaign just to teach communities that they have take back locations in their own towns. So that's why every take back day we host stations at the Orion substation, at the Sheriff's Department, as well as at the LOPD, so that we can encourage people to come and clean out their medicine cabinets and dispose of unused or expired medications. The problem we're having right now is that those locations are closed. So even though those boxes are available all year long, most of the time, they're not right now. So now more than ever, with Take Back Day being postponed, and I apologize, I don't even know that we have a rescheduled date yet, but we will be sure to get
common
that to you.
for a lot of things happening these days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But because there's no access, 24/7 like there was before, we're really trying to remind people to secure those medications in your home so that when the doors do open up, you can take them to your nearest take back box and dispose of them safely. And especially now with youth being home more, this is a time to be thinking about access that may be available in your own homes. So access to medications, access to alcohol, any other substances that you need to just be a little more aware of and make sure are secure.
Very good. And one last thing before we shake hands and say goodbye on this this interview. We have a you sent out a flyer, I believe it was, or a request to see who's interested in Narcan training. So can you share that information too about some people might not even know what Narcan is, and why do we need to be trained on it? It is actually quite a lifesaver.
Mm-hmm. It really is. I think that sometimes Narcan, and the generic name naloxone, is a medication that can be administered to anyone who is in overdose from an opioid medication. Sadly, with the opioid epidemic that we have been facing for the last many years, it's becoming more and more obvious that having Narcan or naloxone available in your place of business in any public building, even in your home, is a really good way to be able to save a life. So we're encouraging everybody to consider having one on hand, and not necessarily because there may be someone who is struggling with addiction. I'll give you an example. Our elementary schools, the NOCC was able to train all of our Lake Orion elementary schools on on Narcan, and actually the elementary schools now have a kit on hand. When you think about, is an elementary school student likely to come to school with an overdose situation? No, probably not. But it's a public building, and a lot of times we see overdoses from maybe grandparents, senior citizens who have accidentally taken too much medication. Service workers who are coming in, especially we have the bond proposal projects happening now, a lot of people in and out of our public buildings. So if you have a business, or you just even think that it would be something that you would like to have on hand and to be able to save a life if the need were to arise, please contact us. Same phone number, same email address. We are trying to get a training on the schedule.
Outstanding. You guys are hitting all the bases, and I'm sure new bases come out of the woodwork every once in a while, and you guys will react to those as well. Again, the phone number 248-520-3786, and your website, again, I'll pop that on screen, is noccmi.org, and the website is chock full of information, contact information, you name it, it's here. A lot of COVID information, just like all of the other township organizations' websites have up, in case you're in distress or need some information. All that information is there and readily available. So, Tanya, thank you so much for coming in. I really appreciate you taking the time. I know you're very busy, as we say, we probably have another Zoom call or another virtual meeting in our future, and I hope I have one with you soon again, because it's always a pleasure to chat with you and get this great information and just hear all the great things that the NOCC is doing around the community. So thank you.
Thank you, Ian. We value your partnership, and thank you so much for everything ONTV does for our community.
All right. Executive Director of the NOCC, Tanya Hamilton, sitting in with the Level Cares podcast. Thank you, Tanya, and good luck out there, and we'll see you around town.
Sounds good.
All right. Great interview there with Tanya. Always a great resource at the NOCC. And, if you have any troubles, reach out for help. And speaking of reaching out, I think Joe Johnson, if you can hear me, give me a thumbs up. I think we're coming to you next. He can hear me. Is this really going to work? Oh, my word. Here we go. As you can see, just before we jump off to Joe here, we've got important information on the right side of our screen here. Take a peek. Township hotline 248-391-0304, extension 3507. That's the helpline. If you're in food distress, give them a call. Lake Orion School District info, Oakland County, and NOTA. Do you need a ride? 248-693-7100. And Mr. Johnson's out in the village live currently with a friend of ours. What do we have going, Mr. Johnson?
We're in downtown Lake Orion at Cookies and Cream. As you know, businesses have to come up with creative ways to bring people in and stay alive and generate revenue. So Cookies and Cream came up with a creative way of getting people down here and enjoying some ice cream, but maintaining social distancing.
Outstanding. And I understand they put together a virtual, not I say virtual, I'm so used to saying virtual because we're doing virtual everything, but this is in person. This is a real physical thing. It's a Candyland game, correct?
It is, and I have Elena Campbell here to explain exactly how this all came about. Elena, step on in. Say hi to Ian.
Hey,
Hey,
Hi, everybody.
long time. It's been so long since we've seen each other. Usually it's at a track meet or somewhere else. I'm glad we're actually in a situation to share some information and smile and get a laugh. And I know your business down there, Cookies and Cream, has put a lot of smiles on a lot of faces over the last several months, and you're doing so now this spring. So share with us what you're doing down there to help people have a good time.
So thanks a lot, Ian, for having me on. I really appreciate it. Yeah, when we had set our opening date for April 16th, and that was way back in January, right? Before all of this stuff happened. So when everything started happening and COVID-19 started heating up, we didn't know what we were going to do. If we should open, if we should not open, what should we do? And legally, we can be open because we are a food establishment. And we're all takeout. We're a walk-up window. We don't have indoor seating, so we didn't have to worry about that. But what we did have to think about was, of course, our sanitization practices and things inside to make sure we were going to keep our staff safe. That was number one priority. And then number two, of course, is keeping all of our customers safe. So we could get some lines that would go all the way down the sidewalk some days. And so we were like, how are we going to keep people socially distanced while they stand in line? And I shared this with some very dear friends of ours that lots of people in the community know, Brian and Susan Winter, who also have offices here in downtown Lake Orion. And Brian called me like 2 days later, and he's like, oh my gosh, Elena, we have the best idea for you. My son and daughter would love to help you with this. We will help you. Let's make your whole grassy area a giant Candyland game board. And that's how we'll keep people socially distanced in line. And so literally, I'm practically crying because this is just so kind, so generous that community members would just want to help us, right? So much. And they got to work and they started painting signs. He came out and measured the whole grassy area so they could design it on a grid and make sure everything, people were 6 feet apart. And so they came out and literally in the sleet and snow, put this together. We were on Fox 2 the night before we opened, again in the sleet and the snow. I was thinking, are we crazy? We're going to open tomorrow in this weather. But the next day was absolutely beautiful, April 18th. And I can't even tell you how many people came. And they were so happy that we opened. Every single person thanked us profusely for opening so that they could bring their family to get ice cream. They loved the Candyland game. So,
and
we're really excited to be there.
And that so is Lake Orion, isn't it? The community coming together. Somebody has an idea, and be it for fun, just like in your instance, or be it for helping others who may be in need. That's kind of, we wouldn't expect anything else from Lake Orion, right? That's what we see it year in, year out for people who've lived in this area for so long. And, that's, I am not surprised at all that we had the community come together to help and have an idea and share it. Now, yours just happens to be a hoot, a ton of fun, and come out and play a game and get a tasty treat at the finish line, right?
Exactly. And we have kind of a special offer that we want to throw out to the kids. So you'll see in my hand, I'm holding something that kind of looks like a lollipop. So any kids that want to come and get a couple of these paper plates from us and paint them or decorate them and bring them back up, we will give them a free ice cream. And then we'll add their decoration to our Candyland game. And I have a really special guest that's just arrived. We have the Candy Queen.
Oh, wow. Who is this? Who's our Candy Queen?
Tell them who you are.
My name is Maddie.
Maddie, nice to meet you. Hey, you're going live to everybody here in Lake Orion on Facebook. And I love your hat. The candy hat and your gown looks fabulous. Did you paint one of the lollipops? Did you get a chance to make one of those just yet? Or is this a brand new offer?
Well, I didn't paint any of the lollipops, but I did paint all the boards.
Hey, Anything helps, right?
She painted all of the signs that are in our Candyland game. So everything from the start sign to the finish sign, she's the one right here.
So you have a game, a budding artist, the Candy Queen on site. Come out, stop down there, grab some plates, and paint out a lollipop and get a free ice cream. Are you kidding me? And I just want to say it's so great to see you, Elena. It's been so long, and we're so happy for your successes with cookies and cream and the ideas of, the social distancing can be a headache sometimes, but you made it fun, and the idea is just fantastic. And we hope those walking by get a chance to hop from spot to spot to see all that great artwork down there. And we just wish you all the luck. And I might just have to come down there. And I know it's supposed to be about 30 degrees this weekend, but I might just have to come down there and grab a tasty treat from you guys. And so good luck to you guys. Thanks for taking the time to stop in the podcast. And I know, Elena, we'll see you soon. We'll see you around town. And good luck to the Candy Queen.
Thank you.
Joe, you still there? I don't know if you're still there. Okay, so I can't believe this worked. We're live on a cell phone, live all over the place. So you're going to get some footage of this, right? So we're going to have a news story of this coming up pretty soon?
Yeah, exactly. And Elena, do you want to share your hours? Come on in and share your hours.
Yeah, real quick.
Yes, we're open tomorrow, Friday, from 4 to 8, and Saturday and Sunday from 2 to 8.
Fantastic.
And as the weather gets nicer, we'll open up more days during the week.
Fantastic. Thanks for all you do. I miss seeing you guys, and stay safe, stay healthy, and have a lot of fun down there, okay?
Thank you.
Awesome. All right, live shot from the village with Joe Johnson. Stay safe out there, Joe. We'll see you next week. Thank you for taking the time. You got the good weather, man. You might have to have a snow shovel out there next week. Who knows? All right. We'll see Joe next week. Thanks for all that. And we're going to be wrapping up the podcast here pretty soon. Just a reminder, some programming notes.
I know that's perfect.
And let's see, what do we have? Oh, yeah. ONTV is running the double feature of some B movies. If you saw the worst movies you ever seen, but are so funny you can't turn away. It's this Friday at 7 p.m. The B-movie double feature begins. Sit back and laugh at the outlandish cinema clunkers of the 50s, 60s, and the 70s. And this week we have classic films. 7 p.m. Friday starts with Return of the Kung Fu Dragon. And at 9 p.m., classic Vincent Price film, The House on Haunted Hill. So tune into ONTV, that's Comcast Channel 10, or at orionontv.org, or on Roku. Make sure you add the Cablecast channel to your channel lineup. That's it for this edition of the podcast, the Lake Orion Cares podcast. We really appreciate you tuning in. And don't forget, Love Inc. is still taking donations for those in need around Lake Orion. I think the donations so far have reached $5,000, but they're still able to donate. So Love Inc. of NOCC.org/Orion COVID. Donate today, and for up-to-date information, official information, head to OrionTownship.org. They have so many resources there for those in need. If you are in a food emergency, head on over to OrionTownship.org, or head on over to Oxford Orion Fish to get some food. All right, so I'm just going to say see you later for this edition of the podcast. We'll see you next week, Thursday at 3 p.m. live on Facebook. And take care out there. Wear your masks. Drive safe on the lake. And watch for the freeze that's expected this weekend. To cover those plants. Make sure you can save those plants. Okay, stay healthy, stay safe, and we'll see you next Thursday right here on Facebook Live at 3 p.m. I'm Ian Locke. And good day, everyone.